Gold versus Bitcoin. Which one is the better option? Which one's the better investment? Which one has better utility long term? These are the questions that a lot of retail investors, hedge funds, and banks are asking right now in 2021. How's it going, everyone? My name is Matt, and this is Matt's Crypto. So today, we're going to break down each trait of gold, Bitcoin, and the US dollar to see which of the three is the best use for the financial system in the future. All three have their own traits of money, and this is what makes each one unique, and each one have pros and cons. Let's not waste any time and let's hop right in. While it's not financial advice, I personally believe the price of Bitcoin today at $37,000 is going to be significantly cheaper than it will be in the future, even say a year from now. The first trait of money we have is fungibility, which is interchangeability. Does it make sense that gold is identified as gold? Is $1 identified as a US dollar, and is $5 identified as a US dollar? Yes. Crypto. Is one Bitcoin worth one Bitcoin? Yes. We also see fungibility used in NFTs, which stands for non-fungible tokens, which basically means tokens that cannot be replicated easily or easily counterfeited, essentially. There's another trait, which is security, which cannot be counterfeited as well, which we'll get to in a second. For the sake of fungibility, gold, the dollar, and crypto all have high fungibility, which makes them good uses for money on step one. In the second column, we have non-consumable. Now, you might be like, what the hell? Obviously, they're non-consumable. No one's going to eat gold unless they're having like truffle gold ice cream or something like that. But for the most part, they're not edible. You obviously can't eat Bitcoin, and you probably don't want to eat the US dollar. You could eat it. People have done it, but you probably don't want to do it. All three of these are also highly non-consumable. They're really not edible. They're not meant to be eaten. And the reason for this, and it sounds kind of crazy, but back in the day, people used food as money. Sometimes they would use like corn or another rare food that you could find. And the reason for that is because what is money, right? When you talk about it and you break it down, what makes for good money? These are the traits, and we'll understand by the end of it why this makes for good money. But let's just say M&Ms were the form of currency that we used. Well, M&Ms might be great. They might be, a rare thing, and they might be easily identified as M&Ms, but people might eat them because they're edible and they're yummy. So for that reason, it's probably not the best thing to use them as money because people will just eat them. And that will ruin the value of the money because people consume them and they are now gone. So non-consumable, although it sounds kind of ridiculous, is a bare bones basic trait of money. All three of these pass the test on non-consumable as well. The next one is portability. If I'm walking around town and I want to buy something, or if I'm going to another town, or if I even want to go across the country or to another country, how easy is it to take my money with me? Gold? Not that easy. If you wanted to carry around a good amount of money, let's say, I don't know, a couple $1,000s, you'd have to have a sizable nugget or brick of gold to bring around with you, and that's really heavy. So, to be honest with you, gold's really not that portable. It's moderate, but I would even say that it's potentially low in some cases if you need to bring a considerable amount of money for a vacation, for example. If you wanted to go abroad and you needed $10,000 for your whole 3-week stay at a vacation, bringing gold is probably not the first choice you're going to make. The dollar, obviously, is the first choice a lot of people make. That's what's been happening for years and years and years. It's paper money. It's easy to store in a wallet. It's light. It's not too heavy. It's easy to have a couple $1,000s in a very small volume space-wise and bring it with you across the country. And lastly, crypto, in the same way, you don't even need to bring any physical thing. All you need to bring is this. Any kind of portable electronic device. Everyone's got cell phones these days. Most third world countries have a lot of cell phones these days. Even places that don't have internet actually do have cell phones a lot of the time, which is why Bitcoin, again, is also easily transferable, easily portable from place to place. The next trait is durability. Gold, obviously, as it is a precious metal, is highly durable. It's very hard to break. It's very hard to burn. It's hard to melt. It's hard to destroy. That makes it a good durability. Fiat dollars is moderate because, like we just said, dollars being small, easy to transport, they are paper. They are easy to rip. They're easy to burn. They're easy to lose, honestly. Crypto is also highly durable because guess what? It's all here. And even if this gets destroyed, my crypto is safe as long as I have my keys. So I could burn this. I could throw this off a roof. I could get this stolen. And at the end of the day, unless they have my keys, it doesn't matter. It's durable. No one can destroy it. It cannot be destroyed because the blockchain has all the history of where it's been and that it's valid. And for that reason, it's also durable. The next trait is highly divisible. And this one is an interesting one. Gold, very difficult to divide. Think about how you want to split up gold. If you have a gold bar that's worth, I don't know, $3,000. I'm not even sure what a gold bar is worth these days because I don't own any gold. But if you wanted to divide that bar, how do you do that? Well, you can't just chop it up. You can't just split it, break it apart. Even melting it won't really work. The dollar is actually, I would say, probably a fair rating on moderate. Maybe even you could argue that it's high, although you have preset denominations, right? You have a $1 bill, a $5 bill, $10 bill, a $100 bill. So you have different forms and different versions. It's the same size, but they have different values. And for that way, it is divisible in some respect. But if you wanted to say, take a $100 bill and split it into 520s, you'd have to go to a bank or go to someone else that has 520s to exchange and divide it. That can be kind of tedious, and for that reason, it's a moderate rating. Crypto is super easy. One Bitcoin is worth 100 million Satoshis. Now, it sounds insane, 100 million Satoshis. It's 8 decimal places deep on each Bitcoin. And for that reason, even though it's a little bit difficult, if you say, oh, I want to give you 0.00001 Bitcoin, and that's worth $10, that is a little difficult because it's, 7 decimal places or whatever it is? That's annoying. However, it is highly divisible. It is easy to divide a Bitcoin into any number of 1/100 millionth. That's very, very highly divisible. And the best part is it's all digital. So even if you don't want to do that crazy math, it's not hard to do. The platforms, exchanges, and wallets have set up, all you need is a calculator, which you can also do right from your phone. Now we're running back into the fungible conversation here with secure, which means it cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be faked. Gold, I would say, is probably hard to fake. If you know what gold looks like, what it feels like, and how heavy it actually is, it could be hard to fake. However, there are a lot of metals that do seem a lot like gold that could be painted gold and aren't actually gold. And if you have a very small amount, like a piece of jewelry or a earring or something that's plated in gold, it could be quite hard to tell that it actually is gold. And for that reason, it could be counterfeited easier than maybe something like a dollar, which is a little bit easier to tell. Now, if you hold up a dollar bill, usually you can kind of tell when it's fake. You can feel the difference between a dollar and a piece of paper or a counterfeit dollar. But the real way you can tell about a dollar, if you hold it up to the light, you'll actually see a little shadow of Benjamin Franklin's face inside the dollar, which you cannot see if it's not by the light. That's one simple way to tell that a dollar is legitimate and it's not a counterfeit dollar, because it's very hard to watermark. With Bitcoin, however, everything is backed by the blockchain. Everyone can see what's ever happened on the blockchain, where each Bitcoin is and which wallet it's gone to in its course of history. The same cannot be said for gold or for the dollars. This dollar has probably been in so many different people's hands that I will never know where it went. You'll never know where it came from. You never know if it was used for illegal activity or not, because it's been around, passed around, but it doesn't have any kind of tracking device with it. Bitcoin is different. Every single place the Bitcoin that I own has been, I can find out. I can see which wallets it's been to, who's had it for how long, and everything. All of it's secured, recognized, and most importantly, verified by the blockchain. So once again, Bitcoin wins this category. The next trait is easily transactable. Gold? Absolutely not. How often do you see people using gold to buy something? Almost never, because like we said before, it's not very divisible and it's not very portable. So why would people carry it around and try to divide it up to pay for things? It just would never work. The dollar obviously is the current form in which people pay for stuff, and it is high. It's easily transactable. You can trade it. People know the value of it. You can even do it digitally on a credit card or a debit card. And for that reason, it's worked for a very long time. Bitcoin is the same way, although I would argue that maybe it's not as good as the dollar right now, because the financial systems set up in place do not accept Bitcoin the same way they accept credit cards, debit cards, or cold hard cash. At some point this may change, but I think even though Bitcoin's set out to be a currency and to be used for transactions, and it can be easily transactable, I think Bitcoin is shifting more towards a store of value, which is why the title of this video is Bitcoin versus gold. Which one is the better store of value? The next trait is one of the most important traits in all of these traits: scarcity, predictable supply. Now, gold itself is scarce. This is one of the reasons it makes for a great store of value and a great source of money. Regardless, the point here is we don't know how much gold there actually is. Yes, it's scarce. Yes, it's hard to mine, but how much actually exists is unknown. Now, in the case of the US dollar, as you guys may or may not know, the amount of printed money has gone up astronomically in the last year. The US government has printed an absurd amount of money in stimulus relief packages that has increased the overall amount of money in circulation by a significant amount in just the last year. And that means less scarcity? less value. Because there's so many dollars, each dollar individually is worth a little bit less. This is also known as inflation. So for that reason, the scarcity of the dollar is very low. And as you guessed, crypto does have a finite supply. Specifically, Bitcoin has 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined. That fixed supply is really, really important. However, we will not get to all 21 million Bitcoin in circulation until roughly the year 2140. Now you might say 2140, that's 120 years away. That is true. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that can be mined in the same way that gold is mined cuts in half. This makes it an exponential curve to the point where the last Bitcoin will be mined. Currently, during this 4-year cycle, roughly 4-year cycle, every 10 minutes a new block is formed, and 6.25 Bitcoin are rewarded to the miners for verifying that block. So, as time goes on, in another 4 years from now roughly, that will cut in half again, where every 10 minutes, only 3 and change Bitcoin will be mined per block. Every halving event for the next several years will continue to cut that number of rewarded Bitcoin in half, and it will slowly curve up until the last Bitcoin is mined. That's why it is not going to take a couple years or 10 or 20 years, but 120 years roughly until every single Bitcoin gets mined. Regardless, the price of Bitcoin should, in theory, go up over time because there is a finite amount, 21 million Bitcoin, that will ever exist forever. It is the definition of scarce. And for that reason, Bitcoin once again beats the other two in this category. The next trait is pretty straightforward. It's sovereign, which means government issued. Gold is not, obviously it's mined from the earth, so that is low. And in this category, contrary to the other ones, you want to be low because if government can issue it, then government controls it. We don't really want our government or any government to control the money that we use day to day. Gold is great for this because you can find it from the earth and the government can't control how much is printed or how much is made. The fiat dollar, as we just discussed, is printed by the government, so that's high. And again, crypto wins in this category as well because there's a finite amount that's set on how much comes out per given amount of time, and anyone can actually earn Bitcoin by mining and verifying transactions. This gives a lot of power to the people using the currency as opposed to the government. The next trade of money is one of the biggest arguments for Bitcoin, decentralization. Obviously, gold is not decentralized. The fiat, US dollar, euro, British pound, not decentralized. All these are controlled by central banks, governments, and the people who have power. Bitcoin is not. It is fully decentralized. The people that can mine it are literally anyone who wants to put computer power towards verifying transactions to keep the network going. And there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of different people mining the coin around the world, keeping the network up and keeping control of the network. It's decentralized, it's peer-to-peer, and there's no single entity that controls a majority of the currency. The last trade of money is programmable or smart. And obviously, gold is a metal. It sits there. It does nothing for you other than hold value sometimes. So obviously, it's not very smart, and it's definitely not programmable. The fiat dollar is literally a piece of paper. It's not quite smart. I can't talk to it. I can't tell it what to do. I can't make it change. All I can do is hold it and use it for what it's worth. There is a digital version of this, which is credit cards, debit cards, PayPal, digital money, which does have some programmability to it and some smartness to it. However, it's still controlled by central entities, and for that reason, it's very difficult to make it smart how we want to make it. However, you guessed it, crypto, specifically Bitcoin, is programmable, and Ethereum is an even better example of this. You can make smart contracts, you can code and develop new programs and new platforms on top of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and you can use it in different ways that has not been possible with anything previously. So those are the traits of money, but let's look quickly at gold as a use case, as a utility. What can you use gold for? Well, this is a quick and easy breakdown of what gold's used for currently. 54% is used for jewelry, which is great. You can wear it, it looks cool, it's a fashion item, and it has value, and people perceive that value. 30% of it is used for investment. People use it as a store of value. They say, okay, the dollar might be decreasing in value because the government continues to print more of it, but my gold is scarce, and there's only so much of it that we know exists, and it's very hard to mine, very hard to get, so it does hold its value better over time than maybe something like the US dollar. 30% of people are using it as a store of value or an investment to earn money. 10% of it is used as technology, and the last 6% is used by central banks as a backup to fiat dollars. When you look at the returns over time between these three assets, Really, the S&P 500 is an investment of the fiat, the US dollar, and over time is a return on investment as opposed to the dollar, which is inflationary and loses value over time. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt here by being invested and earning interest over time. S&P 500 over 10 years is 200%. Pretty dang good. Gold over 10 years, 18%. Probably doesn't even keep up with inflation at that point. Some years were better than others. Obviously, you can see it's peaked out here in year 6. In the last 6 years, 43%. But when you compare it to Bitcoin, and again, Bitcoin's newer, so maybe it's a little bit more volatile. It's a lot more volatile, to be honest with you. And you could argue that the percentage returns are going to be way higher in the last 10 years because it's only been around for 12 years. Okay, fine. But even in the last year, it significantly outperforms in every single year. You can take any of these years. The lowest year is the last year. 720%, absolutely demolishes gold and S&P 500, and definitely the US dollar in terms of return on investment over time. Even when Bitcoin goes down 50% in a month, it's still holding up as the best returning asset in the last 10 years. I hope this in-depth breakdown of the reasoning and the traits behind Bitcoin, gold, and fiat money gives you a better understanding of why Bitcoin and crypto in general is potentially the future of finance. The more you learn about Bitcoin and crypto in general, the more you'll understand and the more confident you'll be in the future of this technology and the way that it works. If you guys learned anything new today, please give the video a big thumbs up. Let's see if we can get to 25 likes on this video. That would be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely hit that subscribe button down below. We post new videos every single day to help you learn about crypto, about money, about finance, and help you build your own wealth. Have a great day, guys. Peace.